Call the meeting to order. Will you please join us for the pledge? That mic's good. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Here.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharp,
Here.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Sorry, Deb. Motion carried. We have one name under public comment of Karen Connell.
Karen Connell, 312 Second Avenue Southwest, here in Independence, and I'm coming as a citizen only. I just recently was appointed to the board, so the airport board, so I'm not here under that aspect. I'm just here for just some clarification of my own. Recently, the airport was renamed to James H. Connell Field. I just wanted to clarify that's how the name will be in all documents, publications, and et cetera, of all.
Well, I think the intent was it's the Independence Municipal Airport, so it's James H. Connell Field at Independence Municipal Airport, was my understanding.
James H. Connell Field, Independence Municipal Airport.
At Independence Municipal Airport.
Okay, because I understood that night you had said that it was going to remain Independence Municipal Airport.
It has to.
It's, the field, the airfield was named after Mr. Connell. The airport itself was still Independence Municipal Airport. It's still the Independence Airport. But the airfield itself was named after Mr. Connell.
So in all air publications or anything, it's still Independence Municipal Airport?
That was my understanding. It's the James H. Connell Field at Independence Municipal Airport.
Okay, I had a misunderstanding according to the resolution, what that said and then what was said at the meeting, and I just wanted some clarification. Because I checked with the FAA in Kansas City on this, and there's no problem with them, the field being named James H. Connell Field. You can't change the identifier, just the name. I have a form here, or a letter that I had wrote up and passed it by this gentleman. I talked to a Mr. Karash, and my letter says, this request is for renaming the Independence Municipal Airport, KIIB, located in Independence, Iowa, to James H. Connell Field. This name changes to reflect the years of dedication that James H. Connell gave to the airport's development over the past 45 years. Thank you for all consideration in this matter, and if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to give me a call, at which I had City Hall call, and signed by Al Roeder. I'll leave this copy with you. This is all that they need to change that name, along with a copy of the resolution with the city seal on it. And for all of the publications, this has to be on the approach plates, all of the notifications throughout the state and federal government, but they will hold this. They will handle all of this through the FAA in Kansas City, so that name change is done. I can send that to you.
That'd be-
Email. You can
That'd be
paste
good.
if you want. And if you're, if the council is going to vote to change the name, it has to be changed on the publications that come out that it is that. And there are several in the state that are named after an individual, so it's not anything new. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, I need to have a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the January 28th, 2019 regular meeting, monthly financial statements for the month of December, Dollar General Store 2329 ownership change, Dollar General Store 2329 Class B wine, Class C beer, and Sunday sales liquor license, March 1st, 2019 through February 29th, 2020.
So moved.
Motion by Kurtz,
Second.
second by Scharf. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve claims for payment.
So moved.
Motion by O'Laughlin,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are down to rezoning. I need a motion. This is a rezoning for the Casey's. I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by O'Loughlin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion, motion against. Motion passed. Motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Scharf,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. So we are now in public hearing in regards to a rezoning of the Casey's General Store South.
This application is to rezone the 2 acres directly east of the current Casey's location from A2 agriculture to C2 commercial, which would be fitting for, or consistent with what the rest of the property is.
Can I ask you something now? You want us to waive the second and the third reading?
We are giving you the option to waive the second and the third reading of this.
Okay. My point is, the city hasn't been dragging their feet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, while I'm saying that, it's just, when I was different administration office, prior council told us, unless you absolutely got your wall into the wall or it's emergency, never do the second and third. Go ahead and do your first, the second, then if you have no intervention in place, go ahead and then do the third. I just want to inject that.
And it is purely the council's option. The only thing I would remind you of is we do have a February 22nd closing date identified. I don't think it is the city that's holding it up at this point. We are moving the application as quickly as we can
Okay.
based on the time that we received it. I won't tell you that we have a crisis, so to your point, I won't identify that. My only request would be that you consider waiving the second and third reading unless there's controversy, unless there's a reason not to, in order to continue to move forward and encourage Casey's to close by the time that, our purchase agreement has stated.
Okay. Well, this city attorney mentioned the case, I won't go into the case, but this wasn't independence, but they waived them both, and then a snake come up and bit him in the butt. So, I just wanted, I just throwing it out at you.
We
And
are
I
giving-
know we haven't been dragging our feet.
I'm giving you the opportunity to handle this or manage this in any way you would like.
Okay, thank you.
Have you
I'd
received,
make a motion not to waive the second and third.
That would,
that's,
you need to go through the process of the hearing first, and then you'll have a chance to make your motions relevant.
after we come out of the hearing. Did you receive anything at all?
I haven't received anything.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions?
This is just property that Casey's is going to put their truck fueling and everything on the back side instead of on the Highway 20 side. Because when we
150.
put the intersection through there, they need to move their trucking fueling site.
It'll be beneficial for the city because it'll alleviate any closure that the DOT would have a disagreement with on the new street.
Correct. It moves the trucks to the east side of the building, the whole truck plaza is moving, and there is a sizable addition to their current facility that they're proposing, so I think it's a win-win all the way through it. with this. But, again, the property that they are looking to put this on has to be rezoned to be eligible.
What's our next meeting is,
February 25th,
and you said the date we're looking
Closing
at?
is the 28th.
well, the 22nd is the
Oh,
date that's in the
22nd?
purchase agreement.
Oh. Okay.
So we sort of are in our backs to the wall.
Well, and to be fair to the council, I'm not going to guarantee by waiving the second and third reading that they will close on the 22nd. I don't have that guarantee from them. What it does do is eliminate the pushback on the city for holding this up and takes the excuse out of their hands that we're stopping them from proceeding. That would be the only advantage if you were to waive the second and third reading. And I always like to be on the right side of that if we can, but
This hasn't been the smoothest negotiated process we've ever been involved in.
With everybody
is it?
involved, yeah. If no other comments, then I would ask for a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Motion by Kurtz,
Second?
second by O'Loughlin. Don't need a roll call on that part, do you? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are out of public hearing.
and just for clarification, if you were to waive the second and third readings and approve on its final passage, it does take a supermajority, so it would take, I believe it's 5 of 7 to do that if there was a dispute as to whether or not you wanted to.
I'd make the motion to waive the second and third, since we can vote it down if there's enough that don't want to do it.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Hill, second by Hayward. This one you will need a roll call.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Kurtz,
No.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
No.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Vaughn.
No.
So that did not pass.
Correct.
Do we need a motion to at least pass it for the first time?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll make motion to pass this for the first ordinance for the first time.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion by Hill, second by Hayward to pass the ordinance for the first time. Roll call.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
So if can we have it to waive the third reading at the next meeting?
yep.
Have that on there,
Yep.
so people have time to, if they have an objection?
So the next opportunity would be the 25th.
Correct.
Okay, next on the agenda is rezoning request from Rydell's.
This would be the same scenario. The difference is this is on the full 14-acre parcel that they have just south of the Casey's project.
Okay, first I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication for the notice of public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by O'Loughlin,
Second.
second by Kurtz. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. And I need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So move.
Motion by Scharf,
Second?
second by Hill. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now in public hearing for the Rydell change in the ordinance, or zoning, rather. You received nothing?
I have one.
Okay. Any comments on this one?
With regard to the utilities that'll be under the new road that we're gonna put in there, are any of the parties along both sides responsible for the part of the cost of advancing utilities through this road, or is that all ours?
That is ours. For the 600 feet that we're doing, or approximately 600 feet that we're doing. And, you know, Rydell has gifted us the property for the street on their portion. Of course, we're purchasing a segment of property from Casey's for that western part of it,
In exchange?
in exchange.
For clarification, I just want to say we're putting an intersection in, that 600 feet is just going to go past the Casey's area so that we can have exits onto the street from Casey's. We're not putting a street in to develop the land east of Casey's.
This goes as far east as Casey's property because their site plan includes an automobile access point on the west side of the building as you know it, and there'll be 2 truck access points on the east side of the building as we know it, you know, for the truck flow or the traffic pattern to get to the fueling station. And the street only goes as far as Casey's property.
We're putting in, if for the television public, if you look at Flying J over in Evansdale, we're putting in an intersection like that, so when you turn left turn east off 150, you don't come smack dab into the face of a semi, which I know I have at times.
This intersection, is this gonna take a lot of truck parking up?
Where they're currently parking trucks, it will eliminate some because the street, as it comes in there, the geometry will move south as quickly as it can, but it does take some of that truck parking immediately south of the fuel pumps as you see it today. And it runs just about as far east as that island. They've got that bollard or that concrete island that's in there. It'll miss that, but not by a lot.
So everything's clear in the back, it'll still be there?
Everything in the back will be there, and as part of this project, they're proposing to add truck parking back in there, as well as moving the fuel pumps back there.
Okay.
I think they'll have, and I don't know how many spots they have now, but I think they're going to have, they have, they're expanding to 40 stalls.
So that's more than they have now? But
I'd make a motion to close the hearing.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Motion by Kurt, second by O'Loughlin to close the hearing. Roll call, please.
I don't
Oh,
need a
no.
roll for that one. Just
All those in favor?
What was the motion?
To close the
Close the
public
hearing.
hearing?
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. We are now out of hearing. This one has the same option as far as being able to motion.
I'll do the same, I'll make the motion, we waive the second and third reading.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hill, second by Hayward to waive the second and third readings and pass this.
We don't want anybody to feel left out.
And this one you need a roll call on. Okay.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
I can't be biased, no.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Vaughn,
No.
Kurtz,
No.
Okay, that motion did not pass. I have a motion
Make
to
the-
pass it for the first
I'll
time.
make the first motion to change the zoning ordinance there.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hill, second by Hayward to have the first hearing, or motion to pass this reading. Well, or roll call, please.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is setting fiscal year budget public hearing for our motion to set the date of public hearing for March 11th, 2019 at 6 PM in City Hall Council Chambers for the approval of the fiscal year 2020 budget and budget transactions.
Mayor, I've had a couple of comments on this, and I'm going to ask the board to consider tabling this until the February 24th council meeting and having a budget workshop on Tuesday, February
19th.
19th. Thank
Can we
you.
have the next council meeting on the 25th instead of the 24th?
Yeah,
Yes.
25th.
Sorry. Thank you.
Budget workshop would be on Tuesday and not Monday?
It's
Monday's a
President's
holiday,
Okay,
President's Day.
President probably won't be.
okay.
So I need a motion to table this particular thing and
Don't
have-
move.
Do we need to
Second.
add in there as far as the public, or the budget hearing? No?
No, we'll
Okay.
just schedule that.
Motion by Scharf, second was Kurtz. Okay, to table this particular thing and put it on to the 25th of February. Need a roll call for that part?
I know, it was a simple motion to begin with, so we should be okay.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. So we'll put this on for the 25th.
Now, the workshop will be for anything that's in the budget we can discuss, okay?
Next on the agenda is Personnel Policy Handbook Amendment.
This amendment is specific to the city's FMLA policy and how leave is utilized, specifically sick leave, while a qualifying event for FMLA for family members. And this would mirror our current sick leave policy when FMLA is not being utilized. This has been processed through the city attorney's office, and they recommend this amendment.
I'd make the motion.
Haven't we been doing this already?
In practice, I mean, we were following the updated FMLA policy. We found a conflict in there, so we went back to the city attorney's office, corrected it in our practice. Now we need the amendment to reflect the right way to handle it.
I'd second it.
Okay, motion was that Kurtz?
Kurtz.
Okay, motion by Kurtz, second by Hill. Do you need a roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes?
Thank you, motion's carried. Next on the agenda is motion to approve a resolution appointing Amber Hunt to fill a vacancy on the Independence Light Plant Board of Trustees.
She was on the board before, wasn't she?
Yes, yes.
I'd make the motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hill, second by Scharf. Roll call, please.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next, under new business, is the airport board recommendation and request. Mr. Callahan.
I got backup with me today, though.
Yeah, yeah, a
Um,
couple of them.
There's a couple of things we'd like to do. The first thing, we talked to you guys about at the work meeting a while back about changing our seasonal employee to a part-time employee that could be filled by maybe 2 people in the same slot, sort of a thing. And it saves money in the long run. At the end of the seasonal limits, whatever they are, you have to release him and then interview and rehire and everything like that. And this gives us additional flexibility. So I'd like to make a formal request that you modify the seasonal to a part-time position. Okay, and the second thing I wanted to bring up is with our lack of an airport manager and trying to keep the runways open, we're running into financial constraints. Right now, I think we have 19 hours of seasonal help money left, so that'll get us through maybe a week at the most.
Maybe Wednesday.
Maybe Wednesday. We'll see how it goes with this current weather. But what we do have is, without an airport manager, we have about $4,500 of his salary that we're not spending. So what we'd like to do is request that we do salary salvage, and we take that money and apply it towards the seasonal help until we can get a full-time person in place.
I don't understand, you're supposed to control the weather too.
I tried hard. I gotta drive to work in the morning and I'm already dreading it.
They seemed like pretty reasonable requests.
So is this going to be a motion that's two-parted, that we change the seasonal to a part-time employment and,
And then,
Then-
salvage the salary.
How was you gonna do that?
Increase your limit by that $4,500?
Yes. Increase the limit for the seasonal that we didn't spend on the airport manager. So take his salary for the last month and a half or whatever and apply it towards our seasonal help.
What are we gonna do if we get an airport manager?
Well, this is money that we already would have
It would have been
spent.
back pay for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's not spent. He's not here. You know, it's
So going.
Floating out there.
Yep.
And we're getting along, right?
Well, until tomorrow.
Till tomorrow?
Yep.
then every,
Supposed to snow all day tomorrow.
And we got 19 hours left right now of snow plowing.
Do we need two motions?
I would prefer you to do it in two motions. I think it's cleaner.
I would make a motion that we change the position from seasonal to part-time.
okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Kurt, second by O'Loughlin's, to change the term of the seasonal employment to a part-time employment. Everybody understand what they're voting on? You want a roll call for this?
Yes.
Okay.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes,
Hill,
Yes,
Shar.
Yes,
Thank you, motion carried. Then the second half of that is to,
I would make a motion to use the unspent airport manager funds and apply those toward our new part-time position.
thank you, perfect.
Second.
May I
Oh.
interject? I would feel more comfortable if you were salary specific, and I would ask for $4,000. I know that's not quite what,
4,000 or,
4,500 is what we
4,500.
salvage.
Okay.
I think 4,000 would be consistent with what you're considering in the budget for a part-time as a suggestion. The amount of money that we're talking about is only from now until June 30th. It's in our current budget year. So my recommendation would be the 4,000. Be dollar specific so that there's no question between the council and the airport board what's in there.
Sure.
clarification here. Once we hire a airport manager and we're not increasing the cap for the part-time wages, are we? Just for this budget year, and what happens when we hire a manager, do we still spend that $4,000?
What you're doing is authorizing that money to be spent there if it's necessary. Doesn't mean that it has to be spent. And again, you authorized 2,000 originally. By setting it at 4,000, you're matching what's in your current budget that's under consideration. Not that you have to, not that that means anything now, but that would be consistent with what has been presented to you in that budget proposal.
So we talking 4,000 for the part-time or 6,000?
4,000.
Additional.
4,000 from today to the end of our fiscal
Okay,
year.
I was thinking we were adding 4,000 to it.
We are, because you have
It
2,000.
would total 6,000 at the end of the year if you look at the position as a whole.
Oh, okay, so we are putting it at 6,000 instead of 2,000?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
So I would change my motion to allocate $4,000 from the unused funds from, without an airport manager, to be applied to the part-time position we just agreed to.
Thank you.
I'd second that.
Okay.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Deb?
yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
yes,
Hill,
yes.
Shar.
yes.
Thank you, motion carried.
Okay, last thing, I thank you for your consideration. It's gonna help keep the airport running. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is we're in the hiring process. And, you know, you guys allowed us to change the concept from a contract to an employee relationship. And we've noticed, even though our airport manager left us abruptly, we've noticed that the concept seems to be working. He identified lots of maintenance issues that the previous people hadn't even thought about. both with vehicles and the buildings and things like that. And he cared about making sure the preventative maintenance was done, which is a major issue. It saves us a lot of money in the long run if we do the oil changes and we tighten the belts and things like that, instead of having belts snap and break things and engines dying because the oil wasn't changed. Preventive maintenance comes from people who care about what they do. We noticed the first time we hired, and we noticed again this time, that our pool of applicants has been limited. We've had people, very qualified applicants, back out because of the salary. What we'd like to do is request that you make this guy equivalent to the other city employees, I guess is a way of phrasing it. The $50,000 salary package currently includes all the benefits. What we'd like to do is request that we make the salary $50,000 with the benefits on top of that. That would be a maximum addition of about $13,000 if he has the full insurance package. If he doesn't have the insurance package, it'd be much lower. If he has a single plan, it would be much lower.
That's 13,000 above what he's getting now?
Correct. Right now, I think, is it 50,000 is the total package?
Currently, it's 55,000, which was the contract, and everything is subtracted out of that 55,000, including unemployment, FICA, Medicare, workers' compensation. Anything that were to go into that is part of that. I'm sorry? IPERS is in there. And the change here would be, instead of the 55,000, 50,000 in wages, but the benefits being in employment, coming out of our employee benefit levy, instead of being all out of the contract.
So that'd be a $13,000 raise.
It would be a maximum of $13,000 that the city would expend. He wouldn't get much of a raise in cash, but he would get the benefits on top of that, if he chose to.
He's getting the benefits now.
Yes, the city will assume the paying for the benefits.
Currently, if they,
Pay down to around $38,000 or $35,000.
Right.
it's 33 and change if they take a family insurance plan. It's roughly 38,000 if they take a single plan. If they take no insurance at all, and the only benefit they get is IPERS, it's about 46 that they're getting. So this would simply make it a legitimate city employee, I guess is.
I would not be in favor of this. We haven't proven that it works yet. And I think the job description's still in works. I think if we get somebody that proves themselves and really, we could reevaluate it, but personally, I'd be uncomfortable raising this up to up. That's just my opinion.
This is uncharted ground. I actually agree with Bob.
Oh,
That is
taking
uncharted.
over that.
Write that down on your pad, you might need that for later.
Why don't we just keep it the same for a year, and if it turns out good, then we reevaluate in a year?
Sounds good, Deb.
Well, this proposal was to be for the next fiscal year.
Yeah,
July of
When
2020.
you,
July.
when you put it in,
2019.
19,
Yeah.
the next budget year.
when you put it in perspective, he or she is getting a $13,000 raise and hasn't even been hired yet, you know. This is gonna make headlines, right? Yeah, oh, it already is, okay.
Well, another argument for this is, I'm a skilled tradesman that work at John Deere. And, you know, we're having problems keeping and getting more skilled tradespeople because they don't pay competitively. Okay, now if we want a good employee for our airport, we should probably pay competitively. You know, if it's a matter of, gosh, you know, I got great benefits, but I don't get paid enough, you're not gonna come here.
I'm a salaried employee, and my salary still has my IPERS taken out, Social Security taken out, and health insurance taken out, anything else taken out, so.
Well,
I
I
would
was
be-
looking at a 2.4% unemployment rate right now, which
Right.
really limits some of our options.
Right.
I think you're right about John Deere's. I know some people work there. You know, you can start off right off the sidewalk right here in Independence, Iowa, and make more money than going to Waterloo. You know, I understand that point, but somewhere in between where we're at and where you guys wanna go, I think is the answer. But I don't think we ought to arrive at it tonight necessarily.
I'd just like to see them spend a year at the job
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
improve
for.
themselves.
I would agree.
I just hate to see us hire somebody and we run into problems. I know when we went to hire people, the first thing is, well, let's give the new guy big bucks, because we can't recruit a good person if we don't. Well, what happens is you have the whole trickle down then, as everybody that's already here says, what am I, chicken manure? I think this person needs, particularly with what we had before, he might have shown some responsibility, but missing 3 snowstorms was not a great.
Can't argue with you about that. That was problematic.
Just for clarification, and not that it makes any difference, we are taking both the employee and the employer portion of those withholdings, whether it be for income taxes or for IPERS and what have you. That all comes out of that 55 currently,
Both sides?
both sides.
So was it 55 or was it 50?
The contract amount was at 55. So that was the bucket that they were operating out of, and that's the cap as we structured it.
With the benefit cost. The
With-
total of their
Taken
wages
out of
and the
it.
benefit cost was not to exceed 55.
Correct. And the employee had the choice as to what level of benefits they wanted, to a certain extent, to moderate that wage rate.
Is it even possible to actually, rather than make it go a whole year, actually reevaluate this at 6 months? Not that at 6 months you have to do a raise, but at least evaluate the person and their job in 6 months instead of a whole 12 months?
Typically, that's what people do, 6 months is a probationary period.
Is our probation that many, that long? 6 months is? Oh.
That's pretty standard.
Well, I'll throw out, the flip side of the argument is, if you don't pay decent money, they come in the door, but they're always looking. And it's just gonna keep the merry-go-round rolling, you know,
That's why I said the word retain.
yeah.
Well, the other thing I have to say is John Deere now has to function with the rest of us. Because before, I'd hire somebody and they always were looking out the door for John Deere, so I have no sympathy for John Deere.
There for a paycheck.
Don't believe green.
As another point of reference on this, I was looking at the wage survey that we just completed, and thank you, Al, for getting that out to us. But we are the highest paid airport manager of all the surveyed cities, which, just something to think about.
I think we just need to make it work before we start talking money.
I think I sense a consensus here. Well, I appreciate you letting us come before you. I appreciate your support on the first two, and I'm not saying you're not supporting us. I think I see their support for our proposal down the road, so we'll come back to you another time.
Plus, within a year, it's going to let us know how much part-time is needed to keep things
We'll know
up.
that by then, too.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we're gonna take up your idea about hay ground in the
Yeah.
future too, so that's gonna help us out a lot.
Yeah.
I would make a motion that we do look at it in 6 months and
I'd
evaluate.
second that.
Okay, is that the motion is only to do that at 6 months, or is that for the contract thing too? Contract is what we've
Reevaluate
already had?
There's no contract.
Yeah, there's no contract.
Okay.
It's a salaried position.
Okay,
Right. And just so everybody's clear, it is, we talked about a contract previously, and that had all kinds of issues, so it is a full employee position,
okay.
And it's an hourly.
It's
and hourly,
yeah.
yes. So,
So the only motion that we have on the floor is to reevaluate this in 6 months rather than a year.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Kurtz and a second by O'Loughlin.
Okay, that'd be great.
I would like to do a roll
Okay,
call. O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharp.
Yes?
motion carried.
All right, thank you very much, folks.
guys.
Thanks,
Be
Dan.
safe on the
Thank
way
you.
home
Hey,
tonight.
you too.
You
thanks,
too.
guys.
Don't go in the ditch.
If it's too bad, call us back, let us know. We all stay overnight. That would be fun. Okay, next on the agenda is the city council charter, motion to approve.
This is the charter that you had looked at with two changes. One is the language was cleaned up, some of the spelling was cleaned up, and the city manager's code of ethics document was added.
Has Independence ever had a charter before?
Nope.
Carl, in your time, has there ever?
No, not as such as this. We had, responsibilities and everything that we have in our book now, which was typed out and given to everybody, but not a specific charter as this speaks.
I think one thing to clarify is this was never meant to be to hamstring the council or to put in a system of punishment if somebody didn't do it. I think just making sure Darwin didn't fall off his chair back there. I think one of the things that this came out of was giving council members a little better idea of what their role was as a council member, that maybe we come in as council members and we think we should micromanage a little bit more. But I just wanted to say it was never meant that if you don't follow these rules, we'll kick you off the city council. That was never the intention. So that, just wanted to clarify that.
So we need a motion to adopt the charter? Is that what we need?
Sure.
That's what's on the agenda.
I would make the motion to adopt the proposed city council charter.
Okay, motion by Kurt, seconded by, do I have a second?
I'll second it, but would this be given to all new council members as part of their orientation?
This would be handed out to any council members or council candidates for that matter, so that, kind of expectations are clear and established, yes. I would envision that you would, as the council changes through elections, you'd want to re-adopt so that everybody is agreeing to the language if that were the case.
I guess I seconded it.
Okay,
Yeah, I have a motion by Kurtz and a second by Phil.
You want a roll call?
Sure.
Okay.
Hannah,
No,
Vaughn,
No.
Kurtz,
No.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
No.
O'Loughlin,
No.
Okay, motion did not pass. Next on the agenda is a surety bond application.
The question with this and the surety bond, we have the application. We do need to set a dollar amount. I know that Councilman Hill talked with the Iowa League of Cities, or a representative there that suggested, I think it was $250,000. We just want a motion to establish the amount of the bond so we can finish the application process.
Yeah, I'm
who pays for that?
kind of confused about this bond. Everywhere I've ever been that required a surety bond, I had to pay for it myself. Now, hypothetically, say hypothetically, say we require the mayor to have an surety bond. Am I getting this right? The city's gonna pay for this?
The city is responsible for surety bonds per city code. That's correct.
I don't understand it, because in this particular scenario, the mayor's running for office, she's applying for the job, and she knows very well there's an surety bond that has to be placed. That should be her responsibility to come walking in the office one day with this surety bond in her hand paid for out of her own pocket.
Based on our ordinance, it does say that. the
I
city will
understand what the ordinance says, but I think somebody was smoking something that day when they wrote that. That's a little strange. Why would anybody pay for a bond? I'm the employer now. Why would I pay for a bond for the guy coming in the front door? Oh, yeah, you gotta have make it a $500,000. Well, let's just make it $1 million. I got all kinds of money. I'll be willing to sign that check, right? And that's stupid.
Well,
That's the
I'd
stupidest
say
thing I ever
this,
heard.
But our agreeing was short-lived. We did this at Wapsie for all of the.
You paid for your own, you paid
No,
for everybody's
no,
bond?
The company paid for it.
Huh?
The company paid for
The
it,
company paid for their own, the company paid for the bonds.
yes.
Every place I've worked that I've been bonded, the company paid for it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it don't work that way in the real world.
That was in the real world I worked.
It just don't work.
5 different locations.
I've had numerous surety bonds, and I personally had to pay for each one of them.
At what type of employment that you had to pay for your own shirt?
Oh, I was in the transportation business a long time, and every time I took on a new company, I had to sign an surety bond with them.
But see, you were the company.
Right, I was the company doing the work.
Yeah,
Same
right.
as in this scenario, she would be the one doing the work, and she
But I'm
has to
not the
be
company.
responsible for her own actions.
But I'm not the company, the city is.
Yeah, but
So-
you're providing the city with the bond.
As an employee, as an
That's right.
elected employee, but the city is still my employer.
That's right, I understand
And-
how that
and
works.
every employer
And
I've
the employer
ever-
requires it, it should be the employee's part to pay for it.
If the employer requires it, the employer
That's right.
pays
the
for
employ-
it.
No, I bet you
Yeah.
John Deere's or anybody else, you go in there to do some construction work or anything, I'll bet you if you have to post an surety bond, you have to post it.
If you're going in to do work for them. if
Right,
you
well, that's
are
what
in-
you're doing in this
If
situation.
you are
You're doing work for the
employed,
city.
if you are employed by them, they pay for it.
Well, I
And it
don't
has
think-
been in
I
every
just don't
setting
think
I've
that's
been.
written out right.
So in the state of Iowa and other states, but specifically in the state of Iowa, the municipality is responsible. Our city code mirrors that. You have 2 options. You can table this and make a motion to put it on the agenda to change city code as to who's responsible or what bond are required. Or you can give us a dollar amount to put in the bond application. We can handle that either way.
I'd make the motion, we do maximum 200,000 with $25,000 for forgery and theft. That's what Mickey at League of Cities said she sees most cities providing. The other thing, though, is I would like to make sure that we're doing a public official bond and not just a simple blanket security bond. And the reason for most of you have seen this, but for people on TV, the public official bond covers more than just criminal activity. It does cover honest mistakes, which can happen. And so I would like to have that, if we can get that, to have that as the type of bond we get.
And that's just part of the application process. We can identify that, yes.
I would second that. I do have one question. There were 2 different applications. Are we having to go through 2 different bonding companies, or what's the deal?
We were asked to fill out 2 different applications. There is a preferred or a primary provider that we would go through first. There was a concern whether or not they will provide surety bonds in general. And if they turned it down, then it would fall to the second company. These are the only 2 surety bond providers in the state of Iowa for municipalities. So it's not like there's a whole lot of them waiting in the wings to do it. These are the 2 that are vetted by ICAP. And this came through Mr. Evers, our ICAP rep.
I think too, your letter indicated one of them may only want to do from the date you start your office position.
Right.
Whereas the other one may be willing to jump in at midstream too, so.
Right.
So your motion was for 200,000? Okay, plus the 25,000 for,
Each individual. Yeah, that's just what I have in that email that I
Right.
sent.
And I don't want to take away from that. I thought it was a good suggestion. I just want to make sure the council sets the amount because the code sets, it states that the council will set the amount. So,
And we did
Is
have.
that 200,000 per individual?
No, that'd be per event, I believe.
No, I thought it was per individual.
I think it's per individual,
I think so too.
but the way the application reads, it is
Yeah.
per individual.
Yeah, it is, I think, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
No.
I'm right.
Since you have 2 people or 10 people, I mean, does the cost vary that much? What am I asking you for the, do you have any idea?
We don't know. I tried to get an idea, and what they want is the application so they can respond.
Okay.
Truly, I haven't been able to get them to give me any kind of a sense of what those costs are.
All right.
I'm sure that the more people that are on there, the more cost. I mean,
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm saying is if you had 2 and then you went to 6 or 7, is there not so much of a step up?
yeah, and I don't know how
Okay.
big that increment is, if it's strictly per person or if it's moderated as you go up in number. I truly don't know.
I think our city code calls for the city staff, city manager, mayor.
Anybody that
mayor pro
handles
tem.
monies for the city.
It disperses money, yeah.
So it, identifies the mayor pro tem, city manager, city clerk, and deputy clerk.
So this was in our,
You're probably gonna want your associate clerk, because she's
Huh?
distributing money through the
Yeah, well, how
bank
come we don't
directly
already
into
have it?
people's accounts for payroll.
huh?
I think,
How come we don't already have it if it's in there, if it's in the ordinance?
When they changed insurance coverage in 2011, it was dropped
Did they drop it,
by mistake.
oh, it was a mistake, another famous mistake.
Gina finally figured it out a couple years ago.
A few years ago, yeah.
so
She came on.
the question is, should the associate clerk be included in the bond? And because it is not specified in code, the motion should identify the associate clerk as well if you want that position covered.
I would include the associate
Yeah.
clerk.
Since she does have some privileges.
Yeah,
with-
does
she's the one
monetary
that has
privileges.
direct access to move the payroll file to the bank so that they can send it to all the employees on payday. So she does have authority to transfer that amount of money biweekly.
But, and to be fair, there's appears to be some conflicting advice that we got from an insurance company that now looking at our own city code and checking with the League of Cities on what they, we're kind of going on our own decision now
In which direction, Bob?
to have the bonding.
I think ICAP gave us bad information, and we didn't
So
follow through on it.
we probably saved $1.50.
Yeah, I don't think we saved a lot.
I still think the wrong people are paying for it. Should be paid for individually.
You'd be shocked to know that when I worked for a company in Cedar Rapids, I had $1 million coverage, they paid the premium.
Really.
But the gentleman I worked for also had.
Sun shined on
The
you that?
gentleman I worked for also had 5 companies that I was his assistant under him for.
Really.
So we had $1 million coverage and he paid for it.
We checked with Steve Deers and we checked with the previous insurance company, and nobody seems to know
Why?
during that crossing why the decision was made.
So we do have a motion and a second on the floor to establish a surety bond amount of $200,000.
And
those
John's done a lot of work on this. We should thank him for doing a lot of digging into this.
Okay, thank you, John. Did you have anything else you wanted to add beforehand? Okay. Roll call, please.
Vaughn,
No,
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes,
Hill,
Yes.
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is Rydell request for use of easement.
Currently, we have a 60-foot utility easement on the west edge of the property that Rydell is looking to build their new dealership on. for future utilities. We also have an easement that actually goes around the corner and runs adjacent to Highway 20, kind of in that entire corner. They are asking to use a portion of that easement area for stormwater retention to capture some of the stormwater and slow it down from entering into our stormwater system. The recommendation from the committee was to allow 30 feet of that to be used for stormwater retention and maintain the other 30 feet for our future utility extension.
I would make the motion to approve that.
Has anybody consulted with the utilities to see if that's adequate, if we want to move utilities under the,
We did talk
the
with,
interstate.
yeah, specifically, we talked with Mark about where the sewer and water line is. The water's not a big issue because they put a 45 in, and they can go down underneath a retention pond and then bring it back up. Sewer is a little bit more delicate, of course, because it's all gravity fed, and we can't, put those kinds of loops in there without a lift station. That's why we would maintain the extra 30 feet, so that we have that room. We don't have to go under a retention pond, and we have the space for the sewer line. And
30
that would
feet,
be-
30 feet would be adequate?
Yes. And that would get us down to the corner, around the corner to where the pipes are under Highway 20, and which is what the concern is.
That was mine as I read it too. That was my concern as well when I read that, because having lived in the city as long as I have and worked on municipal projects in my summer employment with the city, I've seen deals like this take place in various parts of the community, and then suddenly, it wasn't such a good deal because we had an inadequate amount of space to complete a civic task or a municipal task.
Right. And the advantage to sharing the easement, if you will, is obviously they have a vested interest in keeping it looking good. It's the front of their car lot. It's, the kind of their show space. But it does help us out with stormwater and again, not a detention pond. We're not putting a lake in there. We're allowing it to be a spot that would hold water, slow it down as it enters into the stormwater system.
One thing, we're kind of lucky here, we know where we're running, I believe, don't we, Mark? Because at one time, the state had wanted us to go under the highway, and so we had all kinds of plans for that, and then we mentioned the state should help us pay for it, and they didn't want it anymore, so, but we knew where, so Mark can kind of line up where we need to go to extend south.
I have a
Yep.
motion by Kurtz.
You don't,
Okay,
I'll
you don't have a
second.
second. Okay. Motion by Kurtz, second by Hayward. And roll call?
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes,
McLaughlin,
No,
Hannah,
Yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is Wellmark Large Match Grant Commitment.
This is a requirement for Wellmark as the application is being completed. They need to have a commitment showing that the city, when is the city committing the funds? We're saying July 1st. We do not have the ability to push it off another year. We do have to have a $50,000 cash match to the Wellmark 100,000. The additional $161,000 for the project cost can be in kind and is actually being contributed by a number of places, including, is it Wheeland Lumber? Did I get that right?
That's who went through.
Winthrop, yes. Have agreed to come in and help with the grubbing and clearing of trees. The county is looking at, and they haven't committed to it at this point, but they are looking at the possibility of putting the culvert in. We have the fill dirt and what have you from our street project that we can commit to it. So everything but the concrete work itself, the final grading and the concrete work would be in kind, or proposed to be in kind. However, we do have to have, per Wellmark, a minimum of 50% of our match as cash. So in talking with Jackie Shares at Intercog, a motion tonight stating that we would commit the $50,000 cash would be sufficient to show our commitment to the match.
Have we put this into the budget
I was just,
for 2020?
This would have to be a part of a bond issue if we had it in our public works. Again, we've talked about the street projects, the bridge projects, and what have you. We have levied a bond to cover the engineer's estimates. We do not have that as set for covering all of it, so it would likely have to come as part of that, the bond issue.
so this 50,000 would have to come out of the 2.7 that we bonded for.
No, it would have to come out of the additional bonding that we would have to finish our other public works projects. The 2.7 is not going to cover 100% of all those projects. It's covering what we had for an engineer estimate at the time the bond was issued. Anything over the 2.7, anything over the engineer's estimate would have to come from a bond issue this spring, this summer. And that would just pick up the extra portion of it.
And this still, we have to be granted this grant? I mean, we don't even know whether we're going to get this, right?
This is still an application process.
Okay.
So if we borrow money to give it
So are we talking the, kind of from Bland Boulevard in, south into the new G addition area, that this is the part of Liberty Trail we're talking about?
Correct. This would run from Land Boulevard south to Highway 20 and then east to Triangle Park or the fishing pond, the trail that's there. It would be a connector trail for that. So then we would have our,
Pines addition out there too.
correct.
This isn't the one on Sixth Avenue?
No, this would not be on Sixth Avenue.
Would this, would we attempt to make this in lieu of the Sixth Avenue completion?
No, Sixth Avenue is, that application is being submitted in March to get programmed in with those STP funds that we used, or TAP funds, excuse me, that we used for the first half. Second half or second phase of that is scheduled to be submitted in March.
Which side are we going up on then? Are we going on the east side or west side of Sixth Avenue down where the burn dump is and that?
Well, the phase two runs along Enterprise Drive from the east end of Walmart to Sixth Avenue and up the east side of Sixth Avenue to Old Subdivision.
Right.
That's the extent of that.
I know, that's phase two.
Right. I mean, and that's as far as that one goes, is just up
That's
to,
not this.
that's not this one.
This is the
one,
one that goes clear around the schoolhouse and,
well, it would tie into that.
yeah. all
Right.
that Happy trail business.
It would tie into the school trail, the Liberty Trail, Trotter Trail. This just takes the trail that we have currently and extends it south into the subdivisions, Steve G's, and ties it into an existing trail system.
And it ties in all those residents to the south
All the
to
condos
be able
and,
to bike and walk into town?
Right, it would tie in the condos, the new apartment complex, although they're close, they're not there yet until that Sixth Avenue trail is finished, but it starts tying in the new residences that are coming and puts it into our existing trail system. Ties it into the school system. Those are the strengths of the application, quite honestly.
Has anybody ever got 100,000?
They have, there's a limited amount of money, it's very competitive. This is far from an absolute, from a guaranteed.
So if they were to give us 25,000, we'd have to have 50% of the 25,000?
Yeah, if they give us 25,000, I mean,
We
we
would-
can't do it.
we would do it.
We're, quite honestly, we're at a spot where the 100,000 with the city's 50,000, that covers the special grade, or the final grading, any special fill, and the concrete. Everything else is being, in essence, donated as in-kind or contributions. This covers the concrete, which is something that we cannot get in kind or get donated. So I don't see a project
So
without
if
having.
we don't get
100,000.
this grant, the project kind of goes on hold for now.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't mean we wouldn't be able to do the grubbing and maybe we could get the culvert in, do some of the fill, but the trail project as we know it doesn't happen.
We're gonna have to bond anyway in late spring or early summer?
I'm going to tell you that I don't have the numbers. We won't know until next week when we get the bridge and street bonds. I mean, there's no way to know until we get the bonds in. The trail project that's being bonded in March is a much smaller piece of that pie, so I'm not as concerned about it, but these other two are large projects. And
Do we have funds, grant funds for phase two at all?
of the trail project?
Yeah.
Not yet. We're applying for those. We're programming those in March. And so we don't have those until we get that program. And that's the process we have to go through with the TAP committee.
And at this point, we are stopping at basically the leaf dump there, Lover's Lane.
In essence, it stops at Lover's Lane because of the existing sidewalks, yes.
We're kind of at a loss as to how to do the rest north. That could be kind of an expensive section.
But with 52 houses now in that old
Yeah.
addition, and probably 10 more or 12 more to be built this year.
Yeah. And I've had more than one person live out there that has said they would love to have this, that they're kind of isolated right now, and
But they don't want they don't see any use in the Steve G. The ones that I've talked to that walk all the time to the park with their kids see no use in.
This one is going to be more beneficial for the people that are in all those condos, because right now for those elderly people
Yeah.
to go out on Sixth, they were either going to have to cross Sixth to get to the one on the east side. And right now, it's very dangerous for them to walk down to even go to the Triangle Pond. They have no means of getting there. This trail would give them better access, more visibility, more able to get out and about than what even that second phase of the other one would do. So you're talking a whole set of different citizens of working with or dealing with. So you got a lot of support from them in that area.
And this does not replace other trail projects. The one coming up Sixth, coming from Lover's Lane north across the tree dump and tying into Bland or tying into sidewalks north. All very important, not to take away from any other projects. It's just a continuation of applications. If we can find grant money to help support our trails, just like our streets, that's part of what we're looking at.
maybe we need to start referring to that as phase 3.
And it can be. I mean, that would be something we can start programming in 2025. We can move them up if projects drop off, as has been pointed out, but we're programming phase 2 for 2024. Sounds like a long ways off, but, you know, right now, that's where they're programming those dollars.
So do we have a motion and a second on this? Nothing? Okay. Do I hear a
So it's either we get 100,000 or we don't do this?
Right, I don't have any options to come up with the extra cash if we don't get the,
Yeah, I'd make the motion, then.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Hill, second by Kurtz to, is there a particular way you want that stated in the motion? Do you
it
have
has to
that
be
already?
to commit the 50,000 cash match.
Okay. Roll call?
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharp,
No,
McLaughlin,
No.
Hannah,
No,
Vaughn,
No.
Kurtz,
Yes.
motion failed.
Okay, motion did not pass.
Motion carried.
No, it did not.
I'll say my arithmetic's.
So when you get phone calls from the people out there in that housing area, you'll know why.
Give them my phone number if you see them. They can call.
Give him my phone number.
You are their representative?
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to have a little visit with them.
Okay.
If they can't get a hold of Mike, they can get a hold of me. I'll tell them a little bit about it.
Okay, next on the agenda is the STBG application approval.
This, this is the application process for programming street maintenance on those streets that fall under the federal classification that would qualify for, it's the State Transportation Block Grant Program. Specifically, we're looking for you to approve the streets that are being put in here. We are delaying the crack and seat with an overlay project from this year so that we can double up on it through this STBG grant. So instead of doing 8 blocks, the $272,000 a year that we programmed would do about 16 blocks.
This is the map that Crawford's had given out showing on the color as to what blocks these were?
Correct.
Okay.
I have a question on the math. Down in the second, the project 2, the second one, 3rd Street Northeast. It says from 10th Avenue to 17th Avenue, but then it only says 3 blocks. Are we doing 3 of those 7 blocks, or is that a typo? This one right here. So it goes
Did you say
from 10th
project
Avenue
2?
to 17th, but it's only 3 blocks.
I can't answer that, Mike.
Okay, I would guess based on the cost of 75,000, it's probably 3 blocks.
3 of the 7, yeah, it has to be at the 75,000 because that isn't covered. The STBG project number 2 is a second application down the road. Really what you're looking at for the first one and what we're trying to program for March is STBG project number 1.
Okay.
And that's the most critical one because that's one we have to have presented and submitted by the 1st of March to the Transportation Board.
And we're, I guess the committee, in talking about this and with Brian Crawford, we're in no way stopping our street project. If this wouldn't work out, we just go back to doing the number of streets that we can afford for whatever money we have. We just thought it might be worth a delay to get that extra money to help us do some extra streets. So we're not cutting anything off the project that we've already approved.
Is this a blacktop overlay or is this rebuilding?
Well, this is a crack and seat with an overlay.
Okay.
It's doing the same thing we did last year.
Right.
But there are some streets in town with the federal classification that qualify for this program.
Reconstruction.
So both of these applications are picking and choosing streets that fall within eligible classifications. We are still, of course, this year we propose to reconstruct a couple of streets and use our money there instead of doing the crack and seat because they're in such bad shape. But getting caught up using these transportation dollars to help do twice as many in a given year.
Sure.
One of the big bonuses here too was taking care of Bland Boulevard from 6th out to where the new construction was, so that whole section would be complete then.
Right.
Which would really help,
That's a heavy traffic area too.
yeah.
You talking about from 6th to Bland, or 6th to the old railroad tracks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they
Yeah.
stopped the county stop.
So it's kind of a crapshoot a little bit. We're trying to get extra money besides what the city has
that's
to bond
wonderful.
for. So we might not. Brian seemed to feel comfortable that we could, and Carl used to be on the committee, and he said if you come prepared, they're usually pretty open to listening at least.
The reason that we want the council approval on this is because part of the application process requires your support for it. And if the council is open to programming these dollars on these particular streets in this order, then we have your blessing. Phase 2 we'd bring that back for a second look when that gets ready to be programmed. We can submit it, but that's getting further out there. I think the thought process behind Phase 2 is if there's extra money and not enough applications, we'll put them both in there and try and get them both programmed. But that's kind of winging it and hoping that somebody else drops out. It gets it in front of the committee so they start looking at it early, but realistically, getting Phase 1 programmed is really what we're after. Phase 2 would be a gift.
We didn't want to look too greedy.
But we are trying to keep up with Brian Kylie.
Okay, I do not have a motion or a second.
I would make the motion to apply for that block grant.
I'd second it.
Okay, motion by Kurt, second by Scharf. Any other discussion? A roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve change order number 1 with a reduction in the amount of $4,298.84 on the WWTP contract.
I must say, everybody knows how much I hate change orders, but I really like this one.
Well, we can't approve any change orders. Oh, wait, we can't.
Do I hear that as a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Shar, second by O'Loughlin. Any other discussion? Then a roll call, please.
Shar,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next is the Lover Lane, the motion to approve change order number 1 with an increase in the amount of $6,092.10 on the Lovers Lane lift station contract.
Now, you do this
Carl?
one too, Carl.
Oh, you want to do this one too?
I guess my question here is when they estimated it, did they have all the facts?
Well, they actually sized the pump, it had a smaller size pump, and when they went back and looked at it, Mark addressed that, but actually, he's the best one to address it.
Yeah, they didn't add in the growth factor.
Okay.
It was cheaper to go with a little bit bigger pump now than to find out later.
Well, and then
Once you have
down the
pump
road,
in
how much,
place. And this still is cheaper than the other 2 bids, so
Bids,
we're
yeah.
still okay on that.
no, that was my question, because I'm sure you wouldn't be asking if it wasn't for the right reason.
Yeah.
And obviously, if it's gonna be too small, well, then we're just gonna end up,
Yeah, because then there was another company that's gonna start putting that extra water into that 140 to 160,000 a day in the future.
okay,
So, and they didn't have those facts either. So,
okay, well, that makes a difference.
yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It was kind of come out of the blue right when we're doing this.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Mark.
So, okay.
And I'd make a motion to change.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion by
I'll
Shar,
support you, Carl.
second by Hill. Roll call, please.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next, we're down to the digester, motion to set public hearing to approve specifications and to accept bids on March 11th, 2019.
We had originally looked at doing the digester cleaning ourselves outside of the project. We got one estimate of $250,000, which kind of caught us all off guard. We did get the amount added to the SRF loan, but at this point, that's too big of a number to take on ourselves, and we thought we should bid it out and see if we can do better than that. So what you're doing is setting the date for a public hearings on plans, specifications, form of contract, and to accept bids on March 11th.
So moved.
Motion by O'Loughlin,
Second.
second by Scharf. Roll call.
Hannah,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill, I'm sorry, I skipped a. Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Shar,
Yes.
Gotta turn the page.
O'Loughlin.
Yes.
I turned one page except for it was 2.
Motion carried, thank you. Next on the
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
agenda.
Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Next on the agenda is Independence Light and Power Telecommunication Meter Reading Agreement changes.
This updates the agreement that we have with Independence Light and Power for our meter reading. The numbers changed, some of the language in there is just cleaned up. I did include in there, kind of showing what the proposed changes are, as well as the clean agreement. This is still less money than the original agreement. Although our base did go up, the hourly went down pretty substantially because they can read them quicker now than what they have been. So we're at about 67,000 a year, I believe it is.
This is if we put in the meters that work,
Well, this is current language. The place that we will run into an issue potentially is if Independence Light and Power finishes all of their electric meter upgrades and goes to the electronic read, and we don't have all of our modules updated by then, we may have to look at doing our own meter reading for those that are not on the electronic read.
I thought that's what this is for. Do our own meter reading?
No.
What is it for then?
This is our agreement to have Independence Light and Power do the meter reading for us. This is just updating the language of the contract that we've been operating under for several years.
While we're on the subject, how long, what kind of time frame do we have for the modules to be in place?
We've been looking at a 4-year window to convert. That's kind of what we've been operating under. Kevin gave us an update that said they may be done in 2 years, 2 to 4 years, depending on how fast they do their upgrades, but.
So our module would just piggyback onto their electric meter?
Right, the new module is, we've got water meters to change because they're too old to
Right.
take the three-pronged wire harness. So we have to do that, but then we also have to put new modules on all of the water meters that will tie back into their reading. And the water meters are about $124 a piece. These modules, I think Mark said, were about $111 each that we have to put on every meter in town. So it takes a little bit of time. There's an expense, and that was part of what we talked about in the budget workshops, were those added dollars that we have to put in to get these modules, so that they're all remote read.
Sure.
Maybe I was daydreaming, but did they bring up, that once, excuse me, once we get this system, if a house were leaking and they were running a lot of water, that we could pick it up, whereas now you don't really know? Is that,
Under this new module system, they will be able to tell if you have a leaky toilet, for example, or, if you've got an ongoing leak that shouldn't be there, this will identify it, and they can notify you almost before you know that you have an issue.
Is there any plan as to how to meter the outdoor water usage for lawns and things like that?
The only way to do that is like we're doing now, you'd have to have a second meter.
Okay.
That adds a second meter, second module that goes with that.
Okay. Would the landowner be in charge of, since we don't want to have a meter reader at that point, would the landowner have to be responsible for getting that in by a certain date?
Theoretically, yes, if you wanted the second one. Now, to be fair, the council hasn't addressed the second meter issue at this point. We're still trying to get caught up with putting the originals in. But,
Sure.
Theoretically, the homeowner would be responsible for second meters and modules.
Okay.
I make motion, we approve this.
Okay.
I'll
Motion
second.
by Hill, second by Kurtz. You need a roll call again?
Yes, Mike.
Okay.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Sharp,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next item is the Levi Architecture Agreement.
This is the agreement with Levi Architecture to do the preliminary cost analysis, cost opinion, if you will, on the Medical Associates building. It also shows you, and I'd asked them to give us a full price so you know both what it takes to get that initial go, no-go decision of the original cost, as well as if we were to move ahead, what can we expect for a cost for full bid documents from Levi Architecture. And that's the proposal you have in front of you. The schematic design and cost opinion is $5,600. Full services with a competitively bid project would be $34,200, should you decide to move ahead.
So we're only voting on 5,600 tonight?
You're only committing to $5,600 tonight, and if the project is deemed to move ahead, then you already know what your costs are going to be to do the full design and bid packet. If you decide not to move ahead with the project, the $34,200 goes away.
So if we agree to this, what are we getting for our money here, Al?
You're getting in essence, your due diligence on your opinion of cost as to what is it going to take to do the renovations. What you talked about in your letter of intent was we will buy it for $450,000 based on several contingencies. The biggest contingency that I see in there is, what is our cost to renovate? What is our final cost? And that's what this is getting you to, is that final cost. It takes into account not only the renovation cost, but also we did the independent third-party study, building inspection. That's included in that, building that into our cost of making the building occupiable for our police station.
Is Levi a party to having that building inspection that we just had completed? Does he have that, so he can refer to that?
Absolutely. He has that. And he's building that into our costs as we go.
Is there a maintenance history that we can get from the realtor based on what's been done?
The maintenance history that we got is not extensive. They've switched maintenance folks in there, and we've tried to get that back when we had our first discussion on medical associates, and it was very incomplete. Carl had more information than what that maintenance report gave us.
Yeah, I just wanted to come back on that particular person. I'm not gonna mention him because I had so many people call me and they worked there and told me how bad it leaked and everything. And so that person's, I want to make everybody know that there is a problem yet, that I was told it was fixed. They said they used, it's too bad they don't have better records than this, because they said they used local, they named some of the people that did these work. So they didn't want to be held at fault, and of course, I don't blame them either. But I'm glad you got some of those pictures, where this person didn't realize that the whole roof wasn't done. As you can see in that picture, it wasn't. I'm sure repairs were done as needed, perhaps. On that one part, really looks good. If you've seen the pictures, I'm sure everybody's seen them. And I have to commend that guy, whoever did that. He did a good job. And then, it's just like a body shop that a car gets into a collision. You can't see everything. And he brought that to everybody's attention. Sometimes things are covered up, he brought that out. I thought he's pretty honest about it. I really did. I thought he did a good job.
The inspection was thorough, and it picked up a lot of minutia as well as some of the larger issues. I think it gives you a lot of good groundwork to look at.
Yeah.
That has been shared not only with Mr. Levi, but we did share it with the realtor and expressed our concerns over what we think we see, but we'll find out what that number is as we move ahead. We do not have a signed letter of intent returned from Mercy at this point. There's no reason to enter into a purchase agreement discussion without having that back from them. And late this afternoon, I did hear from their attorney, so yes, they have it, and there's a small issue that they're clarifying, but again, it's not prudent for me to bring you a purchase agreement if I don't have that letter of intent back from them. There's no place to start from.
Right.
What's the assessed value of that building?
Say again, Deb?
What's the assessed value of Medical Associates?
The assessed value?
The assessed value, I think, is $713,000 or $721,000.
Did you hear that, Debbie?
Yes, thank you.
When does Levi think he would have this to us? Hopefully not a month from now.
Oh, it'll be, we have 60 days from the time we enter into a purchase agreement, so our due diligence is running, but he is, right now, he's working on getting this done. He can have us this in time for our due diligence period per, I think it said, the letter of intent said early May for a closing date. We'll know before you have to make that decision, and he'll have it in time for that.
So all he's doing is providing us with an estimate, is really kind of what it is.
He's given you a cost of,
An estimate of the.
an estimate of all the renovation costs as well as the repair costs.
Right. I talked to a few contractors myself today, and they both told me that that's all fine and well, but all he really needs to know is how many square feet and what level of renovation you really are requiring, and they could just pull a figure, a pretty accurate figure, right off the top of their mind. They don't need $5,000 worth of brain work on this, I don't think.
Well, I think you owe the taxpayers a more precise number than that, and that's really what this is designed to do, is give you very precise information, because what is the work that you wanted to have done in there, and what is the contractor going to tell you it costs? Well, if we don't agree on what the work is to be done, how are they going to give you an accurate number? And that isn't fair to the contractor or to you as a decision maker. All I want to do with this is make sure that you have as accurate of information. Everybody agrees to the work that's going to be done. There's not, well, I thought this or I thought that. We know exactly what kind of work has to be done and what is the scope of, putting that cost together. We don't have time to go out for bid. I
Right.
can't get you to that point, and I could take a contractor in there and try and do in essence, a maximum not to exceed number from a contractor, but now we're trying to pick a contractor ahead of time and put them on the hook. I don't think that's the right way to do it either. I think that the most effective way to do this is to get you an accurate number from the folks that do it, let you make a decision, but you should go out for bid on a project this size, regardless of what that number is. If it looks like it's gonna move ahead, I think it should be bid. And that's the approach that we've taken with it, is making sure everybody agrees to the work that has to be done, the scope of what has to be done, and then get you that number based on real numbers, real work, and very specific work.
I'm glad the bill.
I just think it's an elaborate amount of money for what we're doing in this stage of the game, man. That's just exactly what I figured.
I think you're getting a heck of a bargain. I think you're probably
Bargain?
covering half of what it really costs them to provide the information we're asking for.
He's already been on the property, right?
He's
already
been on the
went through it.
Yes, he
He knows
has.
how many square feet's in there.
Yes, sir?
And if he wants a job, he could just give us that number. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay. My goal is to get you more accurate information than that.
I make a motion, we approve the Levi agreement.
I'll second it.
Motion by Hayward, second by O'Loughlin to approve. Roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hayward,
Yes,
Hill,
Yes,
Scharf,
Yes.
O'Loughlin,
Yes,
Hannah,
No,
Vaughn,
No.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we are down to reports. Any committee reports that need to be done?
public safety's not for 2 days.
Okay. Well, if
Isn't
you,
it, meets this Wednesday, Al, or?
Public safety
Yeah.
met second Tuesday. We met last Tuesday.
First Tuesday.
Sorry, thank you. First Tuesday. It meets,
this month.
we changed that at January's meeting to meet
Oh, that's right.
on the first Tuesday of the month instead of the second Tuesday. I think most of you were here at the airport board meeting, and you heard their recommendations or the requests that came out of that, so.
okay. Does the fire department have any report? Since you've been sitting there patiently all night?
I don't have a whole lot, other than with this big snow we're supposed to be getting, we appreciate everybody keep an eye on their hydrants. If they need to be shoveled out, takes a little bit extra time, especially if you're doing the sidewalk right by there. Get them cleaned out. It's gonna save us a lot of time if we'd have to tie into that hydrant for you. The other thing is next Tuesday, the 19th, we've got our soup supper, so if anybody's looking for something to eat that night, we'd be happy to see you
Next Tuesday?
next Tuesday.
Free will donation?
That's gonna be tomorrow.
Nope, it's always the third Tuesday.
Is that
Soup
a,
and chili,
and we
right?
have a meeting that night.
Doing
How
Yeah.
about that?
Hey, we can eat.
is that a
for-
free will,
Well, check
free will
that out.
donation?
free will offering, yes.
Okay,
We used to sell tickets and we just decided it was more of a,
so our
Hassle
meeting's
trying to
gonna
deal with
start,
tickets and-
you start at 5?
yes,
Meeting's gonna start at 6:30 for,
We can accommodate that.
okay.
yep, 5 to 7.
So you have a group of people.
Especially if you're
get
there early.
Several bowls ready.
We can accommodate large groups, otherwise if you get there later, you may have to line up.
Can they eat at their council spot?
Sure.
You can just
Yep.
bring it in here. Yeah, we
also
have.
do to-go orders.
That'll be, well, to go from there to here.
Yep. Any other questions?
What do you hear about, what do you hear about the truck? What do you hear about the truck?
The engine two, it's been painted. They've put in the box and everything on the chassis. Still looking at delivery first week of March sometime in that area.
Excellent.
So, looking good so far.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Dick.
Did you have anything from the police department you'd like to report? I know you love doing this.
Andrew Isley, officer with our department, went to Sex Investigators Conference to be updated on training and rules and laws and regulations associated with that sort of crime. Officer Isley and the chief took part in a presentation over in East Buchanan in regards to active shooter training, I believe it was. We're in the process of preparing for a trauma class for the officers that involves active shooter type situations and rendering assistance to those who are injured. And so that's coming up, and that's a free training, and that's being provided by an agent from the U.S. Marshal's Office. And of course, we did some firearms training in the cold weather. We couldn't have picked a colder day of the year for it. There was a few grumbles along the way, but we managed to get through the training. And of course, the snow's here, and everyone, please get your vehicles off the street so the snow plow can have an easier time cleaning up in the early morning hours while we're all warm in bed sleeping, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Darwin.
Denny, would you like to start for council?
Yeah, I guess I could start. I don't have anything, though.
Oh, okay. John?
I want to thank the street crews again, did a super job, and this has been challenging with the weather that keeps coming. And I want to echo what Darwin said, please try and get this cars off the streets till we get them plowed anyway.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you. Mike?
In the spirit of cooperation with other agencies, I'd like to wish the wrestling team good luck this week
Yes.
at state duels and individual wrestling. Got 4 individuals going and the whole team's going for the duels, so good luck.
Thank you. Bob?
I have nothing.
Carl?
I just want to ditto on your comments. Right on. Thank you.
Mike?
Same thing, thank goodness we have the street department crew we have. They're very efficient, they do a good job. And I'm also with Hayward with Go Mustangs.
Gina?
Do you want to ask?
Deb.
Deb? Oh, sorry, Deb, but I don't see you. Deb, do you have anything you want to report? And don't tell me how nice the weather is down there.
It's nice weather here. The only thing I'd like is, can we get a copy of the budget to look over all the figures and stuff on that as soon as possible?
That's what budgets.
And then what is our next meeting, the 19th?
Yes. The 19th at 6:30.
Is that a council meeting or a committee meeting?
It'll be a budget
Budget workshop.
workshop.
Okay.
And it's
Okay,
on
thank you.
Tuesday, because Monday's President's Day holiday, it's on Tuesday.
Right.
But you'll miss out on all the good soup. Anything else?
Oh, that's it. Good night.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
Gina?
Thanks.
Nothing? Al?
Just remind everybody, we do have a snow emergency that starts at 10 o'clock tonight and will run through 11:59 tomorrow night. The biggest challenge that we see is not only the snow that we're going to get tonight and possibly tomorrow afternoon, but there'll be a lot of wind, so they will have a tough time keeping up with that. That's our concern, so please bear with them. If there is a snow event, I mean, is snow falling, even if the streets have been cleaned and the snow's still coming down, we're still under the snow emergency, so we don't want your cars in the street where they're trying to keep up with that blowing snow and the continued snowfall. And this will be a long event, so it will be more challenging. And we appreciate in advance all the help.
Yes. Has that already been posted?
That has been posted.
Okay. My one thing is in regards to wrestling, I've got a grandson that's going to state at 160-pound weight. He's doing good, so very proud of him. Wish I could be there, but I'm sure that's where my family's at right now, in that area, so. If nothing else, I ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion from Scharf.
Second.
Let's go home.
Okay.
All those in favor?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Who's going to